everyone's been telling you need 20% to buy. If you're not putting down 20%, you're hurting yourself. You're wasting your money, or it's just going to be impossible for you to buy. But what most people don't realize is 20%. Yes, you can put down 20%. The reason why the lie started was because when you put down 20%, you avoid mortgage insurance. It makes sense. Who would want to pay extra money per month on something that you don't have to? It makes sense in theory. But let's do the math. Let's break down the lie. If you have to save, right? Let's say you're buying a house that's $100,000. Right? Realistically, houses are not $100,000. They're going to be $600,000, $700,000. But for simplification purposes, we're going to use $100,000. 20% of that is going to be $20,000. So you would need to save $20,000, right? And then if you have closing costs on $100,000, let's say it's 5%. Now you're looking at an additional $5,000. So in total, you need $25,000, right? Now, if you go FHA, you're allowed to put down 3.5%, and let's say your closing costs are an additional 5%. What would be nice? What would say you're putting down 5%, which you don't have to, but let's say you put down 5%. Even with closing costs, another 5%, that's 10%. You're only needing $10,000, right? So you can buy a house with closing costs at $10,000, right? Yes, you do have mortgage insurance, but you already own that house. Or you can wait until you have $25,000 to buy the same house. Right? But the difference is the time. So the time is going to take you to save that additional $15,000. For some, it might be 6 months. For some, it might be a year. It might be 2 years, right? Now, realistically, we're using simplified numbers to make the message easier. But think about it if you were using real numbers. On one hand, you only need 10%. On the second hand, you need 25%. So if we're looking at 600,000, 20% of that alone is 120,000 versus 10% that's 60,000. Do you see the bigger? So the bigger the number is, the more time you're going to need to save that money. Now, what happens in real estate? The longer you wait, the more the house prices tend to go up. On average, real estate goes up on average 8 to 10%. In some markets, it can be 14%, it can be 20%. Some markets go down a little bit, but on average, it tends to go up. So you have time decay, right? Time decay is the decay of the money that you have sitting. You have missed opportunity cost because you're taking that money that you could have put in the stock market, you could have started a new business, and now you're losing out on that opportunity because you're putting everything inside your house. So these are the things that you're missing out on, the intrinsic things that you're not thinking of when you're putting down 20%. So yes, on paper, it seems good. I don't have mortgage insurance. But even when you look at the cost of mortgage insurance, it's not enough where it's like, oh my God, I'm just totally destroyed. All my money is going. No, it's reasonably cost. And you can get rid of it. Yes, most people don't know. You can get rid of mortgage insurance after you buy the house. So most people stop themselves because they don't have 20% and they say, okay, I'm going to wait to get it. Right? So that same 100,000 house that they then waited an additional 4 years for, or 3 years or 2 years, that house isn't $100,000 now. That house is now 150. And what happens? Now you need more money to put down for the 20%. Do you see how it's like a cat and mouse game? You get there, the goal moves. You get there, the goal moves. Instead of just speaking with someone and looking at the numbers, and the difference in payment might only be $300-$400. But they use the fear of, oh my God, I don't have 20%, and stops them right there in the track from buying a house. I want to tell you a story. I had one of my first clients. She had horrible credit. We'll call her Samantha. Samantha had horrible credit. But what Samantha did that shocked everyone was still ask and inquire about getting a mortgage. So Samantha called me up. I think she saw one of my videos on YouTube or something like that. I was like, hey, I leave my number. I left my email. Somehow. It was definitely from one of my YouTube videos. She called me up. She goes, hey, Mr. Marcelle, I want to buy a house and I know I need help. But I have this goal. See, I'm a first generation immigrant and I want to be the one to get a house for me and my family. She had a really touching story, how she came from Jamaica. It was very touching. And I said, okay, no problem. What's your credit score? She said, I don't know, but I know it's not good. Ran it, looked at her documents. She needed a lot of work. We had to work on her tax returns. Yep. We had to get those fixed. We had to get a co-signer for her. A lot of people don't realize you can have a co-signer to help you out. And we had to fix her credit. She went to credit repair for about, I want to say 6 months to a year. Now, her credit score was a 400. At the end of the credit repair, her score was about a 680. Not perfect credit. Perfect credit is 850. That's a perfect credit score. Her credit was a 680. We still was able to help her close on a house. It was a 2-family. And now she's looking at a single family house. It was the power of one, not needing perfect credit, utilizing FHA, what allows us to utilize less than perfect credit, and two or three, I can't remember. It's 3, not being afraid to seek help. See, if you have a goal, the first thing you need to do is find someone who's able to give you that roadmap, who's been there before, someone who got denied on mortgages, someone who's been doing mortgages so they can show you, help you navigate away from the disasters, the pitfalls. Most people think that perfect credit score is good enough. If I have a perfect credit score, I can still get a house. No, not really. There's still other qualifications that come along. Perfect credit looks good, helps you with your interest rate, but we're going to check other things and other factors dictate it. In theory, it sounds good. You need perfect credit score. In reality, you don't. So don't let that myth stop you from buying a home. You do not need perfect credit to buy a home. Say it with me. We do not need perfect credit to buy a home. Samantha is an example of a person who didn't have perfect credit, went to credit repair, had to fix tax returns, and still was able to buy a house with a 680 credit score. It is cheaper to rent than to buy. On paper, this makes sense. 100%. If my mortgage is $2,500, right, and my rent's $1,600 or $1,800, yes, on paper, it is much cheaper. What they do not mention or what they fail to look at is when you rent every year, depending on your lease, or unless you sign a 2-year lease, but on those 2 years, when it's time to renew, what do you think is going to happen to that rent? That $1,800, $1,600, whatever your payment is, they're going to double it. Maybe not at once. It might not go to 29 or whatever, but it's definitely not staying at $1,600, $1,900. But when you have a mortgage, it's fixed. You get a fixed rate mortgage, meaning that your interest rate is not going to change for the life of the home. The only way it changes is if you do a refi or if you do something to the property that is trying to take out equity or do a heat lock, a second mortgage on it because you want to take out equity, take out money. And most times when people do refis and stuff like that, they do it to get a lower payment, not a higher. The only time I've seen people take out higher payments is if they're going to take that money out to do an investment. And once again, that's equity that they built into the property that they were able to take out. You try to get a refi from a rental income. Let me know anyone who gives that. Well, not a rental, from a house that you rent, not that you own. Does it make sense? I had to correct myself. So when you're giving your landlord that money, paying him every month, you can't recuperate that. You can't claim that on your taxes. But when you own the property, you can claim depreciation. You can take out equity. If it's an investment property, you could take out equity on an investment property. You can't do that on something that you do not own. So yes, on paper, it might look like it's cheaper. Please stop spreading these lies. See, here we go. Another lie. And when you're paying rent, I hate this cliche, but you really are paying someone else's mortgage. It is 100% true because what they're charging you is going to be darn close to their full mortgage, if not the full thing. If I have a 2-family house, I'm charging you $3,500 and charging the next guy $3,500. That's $7,000. I could be living in the basement for free, right? Because I own the property, so I can live in a basement. Just got to make sure that the water and taxes, the water bill that is connected, or whatever meter I'm connected to, I give them some money or give them a discount, right? My mortgage on a 2-family can only be like $4,000, $4,500. What's the difference? $2,500 difference that you could be keeping for yourself, not including, I'm not even paying rent. So that's another intrinsic value that I didn't even add into it. So think about it. On paper, it seems cheaper. But as time goes on, if you look at the graph, right now, home ownership starts off high, renting starts off low. But as time goes on, it goes like this. Because depending on how long you rent, the house could be paid off by now. If you rent for 30 years, that mortgage would have been done. 30 years in a rental, what do you have to show? You can't pass that down to your family member, can you? But with a house, you can. Did it go up in value? No, you can't do that when you're just renting something. But a house goes up in value. That house that you bought for, let's say, I don't know, $100,000, 30 years from now, it's not going to be $100,000. I can guarantee that. So these are the things that you're missing out on when you rent, that you just do not get. This one irritates me. I'm not going to lie to you. This lie just irritates me. So this is line number 4. You shouldn't buy until the market is perfect. What is a perfect market? During COVID, everyone said, don't buy, the world's ending, right? After COVID, don't buy, the prices are too high. Before COVID even happened, the prices are still too high. Mind you, interest rates were at the lowest during COVID. Way after COVID, right? Interest rates are higher, but there's no houses on the market for you to buy. So help me understand, when is there going to be a perfect market that says, oh my God, this is the time to buy? The time is when it's good for you. No one else can tell you when it's the best time to buy. No one else knows your finances like you do. The only thing I can tell you guys is always look at the payment. Don't stare at the rate. Don't care about the house. Well, obviously, you have to care about the house you're going to be living in.
Bye, have a great time.
But people say fall in love with the house, date the rate. I don't say any of that. Is it a good time for you? Are you comfortable making this payment every month? Can you make this $3,000 payment, this $4,000 payment? If you can comfortably make the payment every month, then yes, it's a good time to buy. Because guess what? When rates go down, you can always refinance. You can always do it. As long as you have some equity in the house, we can refi you later. But what we can't do is control that house price. It started at one price. It can go up to this price. Once you buy it, though, it's locked in. You don't got to worry about the house price changing. But you cannot control the interest rates. We cannot control what's going on outside of that. So all you can do is know inside, is this a time I can afford a house? What's my payment? Can I afford that comfortably? If not, then get a cheaper house. Or if not, wait. Wait when the rates are a little better and then try again. But only you can dictate when it's a perfect market for you. Don't let everyone else start getting in your ear and saying, oh, yeah, it's a perfect market. There's never going to be a perfect market. No one's ever going to be like, oh, today's market is perfect. They're always going to have something to say. It's always going to be some kind of bad news, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. Block out the noise and look in and focus on what you can control and what you can do. That's it. That's when the perfect market is. When something in your gut is telling you, yes, right now is my time to buy, my time to shine. If it's not that, wait. Okay, number 5, you fall in love with the first house you see. We went to go see houses, and the first thing I do is what most people do. We look at the lowest of my budget. So I'm like down here. I was approved for a multifamily, I think up to $900,000 or something like that. And I was like, show me something at like $500,000, $600,000. I'm going to save some money. You know what I mean? And it was a complete dump. When I say dump, it was dump. It was like I was living in the projects. Like, I was nervous. I was nervous working into the house. Like, oh, shoot, I'm about to get robbed. Like, they're going to rob me. No. It was that bad. So most people do the same thing. We start at the people at the bottom, and then we work our way up. Because, you know, we want to save money. We've been taught that, hey, saving money is best. When you're buying a house, go low. Don't. Find something that you actually like, especially if you're going to live there. You know, find something that it's an area that you're like, okay, I don't mind moving into. Don't find something low and take it because it's cheap. Last myth, number 6. This one is probably the one that I should have started off with. You can do it alone. I don't know if it's society where we're like all trying to be macho men that we're afraid to ask for help. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know what's going on, but we think we could do everything alone. And as knowledgeable as a mortgage loan officer or as a realtor, like everyone studies their own lane. You know, like think of it like basketball. You have a point guard, you have a shooting guard, you have a small forward, like you have a center, like you have people in specific roles to help you win a championship. And that's what it is when you come to professionals. Our job is to make sure you get the home that you want, not a home, any home. We're going to get you the home that you want, that you're happy with. And we're going to do our best to make sure it fits your budget, fits your criteria, you have good insurance, you're protected. So when you leave that closing table, you're like, oh, shoot, I got it. Like, you know, you have that energy, that swag about you. That's what happens when you get to professionals, the right team. So do not worry, you're not doing this alone. And one thing that people always fail to understand is they feel like they have to be ready before they seek help. No. You can seek help before you're ready. Our job, especially, I don't know about other loan officers, I won't say that. My job is to make sure I create a roadmap with you to help you get there. Oh, let's work on your credit. Let's save some more. This is what you do. Do you have a budget? Do you know how to personal budget? No worries. Let me see your things. This is what you could cut off. Like I go through your finances with you. I'll help you as much as I can to get you to that state of being ready so you can qualify to get a home. If you found this video helpful, I need one thing from you. Please just subscribe, like it, put something in common. Tell me if you want a different type of video, if you have an idea for a new video. You guys know I'm always looking for new videos. And I am back. Feels good, right? I haven't shot videos in about 3 months. So my YouTube algorithm is going all crazy. So I need you guys to help put me back on YouTube so they know, oh yeah, this is mortgage content. He usually does this. Personal finance stuff. This is what he does. And upgrade my videos and push me back up because my content has been, but that was me. I just wasn't shooting videos. It became a lot, but I got a new schedule. I'm working back on it and let's go. Hustle family, over and out.